As 2025 was about to kick off, the year certainly started out strong with a selection of interesting and highly anticipated anime series. However, out of all of them, the one that really hit it off the most is the second season of Solo Leveling, as it quickly took over the anime world by earning a total count of over 700k votes, thus becoming the highest rated series in Crunchyroll and the most streamed. Now, admittedly, the season itself isn't to everyone's taste of entertainment, with some thinking it's overhyped, while others, particularly those who read the manhwa, will feel like it isn't as good due to how some of the contents were removed. Nevertheless, given the number of records it broke, there is no denying at how much of an impact Solo Leveling has made within the anime community, and it can all be contributed to these 10 moments. This is Animanko 9000, a channel where we talk about contents related to anime, manga, and other types of media, and in this video, I'll be going over the top 10 best moments in Solo Leveling Season 2. And as usual, if you want to hear more of the contents I mentioned earlier, just subscribe to my channel and leave a comment down below by the end of this video. Starting the list off, we'll be going over a moment that happens to be one of my personal favorites. As such, taking 10th place is the Hunter's Guild's second strike team versus the High Orcs. FYI, as some of you can already guess, this group of particular hunters aren't really important ones. Fact is, all of them together range from being background characters to minor support characters. Despite this, their encounter with the High Orcs do somehow make them stand out among other hunters who are not S rank. Like, if you compare the past hunters Jin-woo was with, most were either arrogant, greedy, or just murderers. This A-rank party, on the other hand, are the first real hunters the MC has been with, as they are shown to be organized, humble, noble, and quite competent in their decision making. Not to mention, I feel the anime did a better job at giving each hunter a chance to shine on their own, showing what they can do even when the odds were against them. Of course, we know their survival was only possible thanks to Jin-woo's help, but they still proved to be one of the top guild's best non-S rank hunters, as they pulled their own weight and managed to kill some of the High Orcs with their own ability. And while I might be asking a bit much, here's hoping that by the time Season 3 arrives, this group of hunters also get more screen time. Next on the list, this is a moment where I feel deserves some recognition even if it's not action based, which is why for 9th place, we have Jin-woo's mother waking up from the eternal slumber. To be frank, while this was an important event for Jin-woo's journey, it wasn't one that I expected too much to really care for. So, upon watching Jin-woo feeding his mother the elixir of life, it caught me by surprise at how beautifully well done this scene was in the anime. Heck, if you look back at the start of this series, this moment has always been Jin-woo's goal. All the struggle he went through as a hunter, his quest for strength, the sacrifices he made, it was all worth it to wake his mother up from what was basically a curse. In addition to the music that was playing during this scene, well, I just don't understand how some fans would dislike this and not cry, or at least close to crying when this scene first appeared. All in all, including how it represents that human part of Jin-woo still remains, this is definitely one of the most wholesome moments in the series. Moving up to 8th place, we will now be focusing on the S-rank hunters sparring match. While this event is rather minor and quick, the match does give us further glimpses of what the rest of the S-rank hunters are capable of. At the very start of the match, both Korea's and Japan's S-rank hunters appear to be even, with neither one giving the other a chance to properly counter. And as the fight drags on, we also learn more about their overall strength, such as Byuk Yeonho's transformation ability and Chahae-in's swift yet deadly fighting style. Unfortunately, we also see just how weak some of the Korean S-rank hunters are, as they were quickly taken out one by one, thus ending the spar with their loss. Although I guess to be fair, none of the hunters were fighting seriously and were outmatched in certain areas, so they likely weren't in their peak performance. However, the sparring session wasn't over yet, because not long after, we got a sparring match between Jin-woo and Japan's strongest hunter Goto Ryuji, and as all you may already suspect, the match itself wasn't what you call a fight. Because even though Goto was on the offensive most of the time, Jin-woo was clearly just toying with the hunter. The anime did try to make it appear that both hunters were equal, especially with the removal of a certain scene after the fight. It was easy to see which of the two was stronger, so if anything else, it was a good way to show just how strong Jin-woo has become. Taking 7th place is the Red Gate incident, the very first event of Season 2, as well as one where the story of Solo Leveling would begin to shift a bit. After all, unlike most gates in the series, those within a red gate are stated to be far more dangerous, with its assortment of hostile and unforgiving environments that no one can easily survive in, and strong magical beasts who have the intention to kill on sight. It was a great starting point at how the remaining events of Season 2 will be more intense than what occurred in Season 1. Well, intense to those who isn't Jin-woo, but to the series MC himself, it was a perfect time to test out his new abilities that he gained in the last episode of Season 1. And from here, we see that the initial Shadow Army is strong, but at the same time, they are not invincible, and having them to regenerate will cause Jin-woo to lower his mana capacity. So, unless he has other strong shadows like Egress and Iron, he needed to use them very carefully. That being said, both Jin-woo and his Shadow Army were still good enough to allow him and a few other hunters who were trapped in the dungeon to survive, and were capable of taking out other strong beings like the Ice Elves. Plus, the fight where Jin-woo, Egress, and Iron had to work together to defeat the dungeon boss Baruka was just perfect. There were some content that was removed from the manhwa as well, but the event is still good enough to earn its current placement in the list. In 6th place, this is another moment that's also one of my personal favorites, and it is the one where Jin-woo officially became a S-rank hunter. Also, being one of the biggest turning point in the MC's life, calling this moment a very big deal feels like an understatement. Remember, prior to his appointment as an S-rank, Jin-woo was still technically classified as an E-rank. So, when news quickly spread that the MC reawakened from an E-rank to now an S-rank, you can see why it may have caused a huge storm, since it was an occurrence that never happened before. Combined with the fact that S-rank hunters are rare, even a newly appointed A-rank hunter was left in the dust. However, what made this moment so significant is that it emphasizes how Jin-woo is no longer the same weak E-rank hunter who debuted at the beginning of the series, especially to those who knows the MC personally. And following the classic Zero to Hero story, his promotion to S-rank really signifies just how far Jin-woo has come. Best part is, this was just a prologue of how his fame will continue to rise, so it was exciting to see what else he can do in the future. Coming in 5th place, we now enter a moment that happened during the 4th raid at Jeju Island. In this case, it is the Korean S-rank hunters versus the Ant Queen and her army. In one of those rare moments in the series where the side characters are able to accomplish a certain task without the MC's assistance, we finally got a chance to see why the S-rank hunters are so strong. Along with some extra original scenes that the anime was able to add in, the fight really did the hunters justice as they properly showcased their true strength, such as Ma Dan-wook, who continuously protects his fellow hunters while also taking out some of the ant army himself. Then there's Byak Yeon-ho in his transformed state, brutally beating every ant he sees. There's also Choi Jong-in, unleashing a seemingly higher degree of his destructive flames as he burns through the ant army in one swoop. There's even Lim Tae-gyo, who honestly did a much better display of his power here than in the manhwa. Of course, we can't forget about Min Byung-gyo, who is the MVP during the raid as he played the best support role by healing and buffing those who needs it. Last but not least is the series queen Cha Hai-in, swiftly slicing her enemies apart and being the one to give the finishing blow against the Ant Queen. What's more, another thing I think the anime did well for the group is that it captures their overall teamwork, as none were competing against each other or have some ulterior motive, showing that all of them had a common goal to see their mission to the end. Unfortunately, their victory was short-lived, since no sooner after defeating the Ant Queen, a greater enemy appears, which is why at 4th place is the Ant King destroying the S-rank hunters. Solely created as a weapon to kill just about everything it sees, the Ant King was every sense of the word a real monster. Without giving any of the hunters a chance to process what's happening, the Ant King makes his cold entrance and immediately took out a majority of Japan's S-rank hunters without warning. Even their strongest hunter Goto Ryuji was no match, making the situation more of a slaughterhouse than a fight. And despite some of the hunters' attempt to fight back against the secret boss monster, you can tell it was futile. Although I do feel conflicted at how the Ant King brutally took out the Korean S-rank hunters, it perfectly captures just how terrifying the moment was, more so with the new version of Dark Aurea playing in the background. So yeah, had the series MC not arrived to stop this menace, well, Korea and Japan would have been in trouble. Now we made it to the top 3, and as some of you may already be aware, the rest will involve mostly on fights that Jin-woo participated in, like the Cargalagon fight, which takes 3rd place, and being the fight that caused many of the anime servers to crash for the first time, its placement is quite fitting. Surrounded by a horde of high orcs and completely outmatched, the second strike team needed a miracle to get out of the situation they were in, and since Jin-woo was pretty much that miracle, upon being given the permission by the group's leader to help them, this is where the fun begins. From Jin-woo killing and growing his army, to Egress, Iron, and the rest of his shadow army going on a rampage, the MC was able to turn the tide of battle, while the hype regarding the fight continues to escalate. Then, once the dungeon boss Cargalagon joins in, this is where the fight reaches its peak climax. I mean, Jin-woo was able to handle against the boss monster near effortlessly, especially when most of the latter's abilities weren't ineffective against him. But let's be fair, Cargalagon did put up a fight, and most hunters would likely have not survived against him. Regardless, with Sung Jin-woo as the victor, using Cargalagon's former soldiers to finish the monster off, the fight was worth the hype, going way beyond what the manhwa has shown. However, while the fight was epic in every way, it was eventually surpassed by this next one. So, for second place, we have Sung Jin-woo facing off against Demon King Baran. As it should, because what makes this fight greater than the Cargalagon one is that it is one of the few fights where the MC would struggle a bit. After all, in addition to his lightning breath that can destroy everything in a wide area, and his ability to summon his own endless supply of soldiers, the Demon King was really on another level at this point, requiring the combined effort of both Sung Jin-woo and his best shadow warriors at hand to beat this overwhelming foe. And after some strategic thinking and careful usage of his abilities, the MC was able to hold his own against Demon King Baran for some time. Of course, it did look like he was about to lose in the end, but thanks to the timely intervention of best demon girl Essel, Sung Jin-woo was able to finally grab that win in the last second and clear the demon castle. What's more, as an extra bonus, Sung Jin-woo was even able to get the elixir of life, which he was able to use to cure his mother. This also would be the last time we see Essel for the remainder of the series, but who knows, maybe the anime will change that. Finally, taking number 1 spot is the series pinnacle of absolute cinema, and that's Sung Jin-woo vs the Ant King. I mean, this one is a given, considering how this is easily the most anticipated fight of the series, and what the first 2 seasons had built up to. With the strongest hunter and strongest monster in the same room doing a standoff of who has the most aura, while being broadcasted to the entire world, the fight sequence went hard, staying strong from start to finish as it conveys just how intense and crazy the fight between the two was getting. Plus, what I absolutely love about the fight more in the anime than in the manhwa is the way it shows just how much of a bigger threat the Ant King was, as it uses other abilities it has devoured against the MC, which was never shown in the original source. Like seriously, the animators definitely deserve 1,000 applause for their hard work. But while this was indeed one of Sung Jin-woo's biggest challenge, he was able to become stronger in the middle of the fight. And in the end, the Ant King who was once the hunter became the prey. Additionally, in the aftermath of the fight, we finally get to see Biru in animated form, now reborn to assist his king with his aura farming. Okay, that's about it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Which was your favorite moment in Season 2? And if there are any other moments you like but is not on this list, just leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.